Hello, and welcome to the Fast Solutions Vending Software training video series. This video series is intended for both new and existing customers who have vending machines and would like to learn more about the functions of the vending software. Let's get started. As a new vending customer, you should have received 2 emails from Fastenal, one with your username and one with your password. If you did not receive these emails, please contact your local branch or Fast Solutions technical support. The temporary password provided in the email is only good for 24 hours. So if the password is invalid, please contact tech support for a new password email. A link to the software should be included in the email with your username. If you ever lose this link in the future, you can always go to Google and search Fast Solutions Login. The first search result shown as fastsolutions.mroadmin.com is the correct link. The vending software offers translated versions in English, German, Spanish, and French. To view the software in one of these languages, click the appropriate link under the Fastenal logo found on the login page. Please note that Google Translate can also be used for any other language not officially translated. If you click the Google Translate link, then paste the login URL into the Translate text box, you can select a language on the right, then click the provided link to see the website in that language. Please note that not all screens may be fully translated. Please contact Fast Solutions technical support if you require any assistance. Once the login portal is pulled up, enter your provided username and password and click Sign In. You will now be prompted to enter a new password and confirm the password in the second field. Please note that passwords should be 8 to 16 characters long and contain at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, and one number. Passwords are valid for 90 days, and new passwords cannot be the same as the last 3 passwords previously used for a user's profile. If you forget your password, or if your account becomes locked after 5 failed password attempts, you can generate a new password email by clicking the Forgot Password link and entering your username. A password reset email will be sent to the email address on file for that username. Once logged in, you'll be asked to review our end user license agreement. Click the Agree checkbox at the bottom to confirm that you've reviewed it, then click Accept. You will see links in the top right corner. The Inbox link will take you to a page where important system messages can be displayed, along with a list of devices under your company. Contact Us in Tech Support contains our tech support contact information. The EULA link will take you to the end user license agreement you reviewed when logging in the first time. Log Out will sign you out and take you back to the main login page. You will also see up to 4 section headers below the Fastenal logo. Profile Manager is where all information associated with your company, users, software roles, and machine access rules are located. Product Manager is where asset and recharger information is located. Device Manager is where information about the device is located. Here you can view existing inventory in a machine or assign assets to locker positions. Report Manager is where all data associated to product and asset transactions can be generated in the form of reports. Each of these sections will be covered in detail in this video. Use the links in the description below to jump to a specific section at any point. Our Fast Solutions technical support team is available 24/7 and can be reached by phone or email, day or night. Support contact information can be found inside the vending software under the Contact Us and Tech Support link found at the top of the page. Our support email, fasttechsupport@fastenal.com, and our support phone numbers are listed here. Our main phone number for U.S. customers is 866-829-1564. Click the Contact Phone Numbers link for other support numbers by country.
Device users are set up to dispense product from a Fastenal vending machine using an employee ID or badge number. To add a device user, first select Profile Manager, then select Manage Users. This will take you to the Users tab. Select Add a User, which will pull up a blank user profile. Enter the user's first name, last name, and employee ID, which are the 3 required fields. The employee ID is the number that the user will enter on the keypad to access the machine. This number must be unique for each user added into the system. You can choose what language the user will see at the machine by choosing the User Language dropdown. If users need to access the machine with a badge, enter their number in the badge number field. You can set a passport expiration date for temporary employees by clicking the calendar icon and selecting a date, or by entering the date manually. Next, select the Rule Assignment link to pull up the Edit Rule Assignment screen. Choose the correct site from the dropdown, then use the checkboxes to assign the user to their appropriate rules and instances within the rule, then click Save. Rules and instances are explained in more detail in the Adding Dispense Rules video. You'll see the name of the site and the rule the user is assigned to in the Rule Assignment field. To assign the user to a reporting group, select the Reporting Group dropdown and choose the appropriate group from the list. If multiple user groups are needed, click the User Group Membership link and select the additional user groups, then click Add. Once everything has been filled out, select Submit at the bottom of the user profile. The user is now ready to vend. If you attempt to save a user's profile that's missing information in one of the 3 required fields, you'll receive an error message specifying what information needs to be entered. If you attempt to save a user's profile with a duplicate employee ID number, you'll receive an error message specifying the employee ID already exists in this company. Web users are users that have been set up to log into the vending software. To create a web user, first select Profile Manager, then select Manage Users. This will take you to the Users tab. Select Add a User, which will pull up a blank user profile. Enter the user's first and last name. Web users can be set up with or without device access. Setting up device access is covered in the Adding a Device User video. Click the Grant Web Access checkbox under Web User, then enter a unique login ID that corresponds to the user. Login IDs cannot be duplicate to other users, so adding numbers or site descriptions to login IDs is recommended when necessary. Enter a password that is 8 to 16 characters long that contains at least 1 uppercase letter, 1 lowercase letter, and 1 number. Repeat this password in the Confirm Password field. Please note that the password entered for a new web user is temporary and will be changed when the user logs in the first time. Web administration should be the default user role. If multiple roles have been created, select the appropriate role in the dropdown. See the Managing User Roles video for more details on user roles. Password reset method will default to email. If the security question method is preferred, select it in the dropdown. Enter the user's email address in the Email 1 field. Phone and address information should populate automatically based on the site information entered into the system. Once all necessary details have been entered, click Submit at the bottom of the page. 2 separate emails will automatically be generated and sent to the email added to the profile to alert the user that a profile has been created. One email will contain the login ID and the other will contain the temporary password. Temporary passwords are only good for 24 hours, as noted in the email. If another temporary password is needed, please contact Fast Solutions Technical Support. Once a new user logs in with these credentials for the first time, they will be asked to create a new password. Passwords are valid for 90 days, and new passwords cannot be the same as the last 3 passwords previously used for a user's profile. Barcode badges can be generated in the vending software and can be used to access a vending machine equipped with a barcode scanner. Please note that this only works for user companies with less than 10,000 users. If more than 10,000 barcode badges are required, please reach out to Fast Solutions Technical Support. To create barcode badges for users to access the vending machines, click Profile Manager, then Manage Users. Click the Create Badges link in the top right section of the users list. Here you will see a list of all current users that have a badge number added into their profile. Click the checkbox to the right of each user you would like to generate a barcode for. Please note that the maximum of 200 users can be selected at a time. At the top, you can select full badges or barcode-only badges to be generated. Badges are designed to be printed on a standard 8.5 by 11 print size label sheet on a standard inkjet printer. Full badges print on 2-inch by 4-inch shipping labels, such as the Avery 5163 labels, while barcode-only badges print on 1-inch by 2 and 5/8-inch labels, such as the Avery 5160 labels. Click Create and the software will generate a PDF containing barcodes of all the selected users' badge numbers. It is recommended that the file be printed without scale or zoom applied and without fitting the document to a page to ensure it prints out on the labels correctly.
Once users have been added into the software, at some point it may be necessary to make changes to the information that was originally entered. To make changes to users that have been added to the system, first click Profile Manager, then click Manage Users. Here you will see a list of all current active device users, which are the default user status and user type fields. The user status dropdown can be set to view active users, inactive users, or all to view both. The user type dropdown can be set to web user to see users with web access, device user for users with device access, or all to see both. The user group dropdown can be used to see all users assigned to a specific user group. For more information about user groups, see the Adding User Groups video. Once all the dropdowns have been set, click Search to filter by the selected criteria. To narrow down information associated to specific users, select the Find Users text box and type in a value that corresponds to a user's name, login ID, employee ID, or badge number, then click Search. Information associated with device access is displayed in the Device User Control section of the user list, while information associated with web access can be viewed in the Web User Control section of the user list. To see all details associated with a user profile, click their last name. If any changes are made to the user's profile, click Save to update them. There are also several quick links available for user management. To disable a user's passport used for accessing a device, click the blue icon with a green check mark under the Status column. The passport icon will toggle to a red restricted mark. To re-enable the passport, click the icon again and it will switch back to the green check mark. To disable a web user's web access, click the icon under Action that looks like a blue person with a green check mark. To enable web access, click the icon that has a red restricted mark. Select the user's role and password reset method, then enter their email address and click Add. Click the arrow icon under Action to reset that web user's password. Multiple users or user groups can be created at the same time by importing a template rather than adding them one at a time. First, click on Profile Manager, Manage Users, then select the Import-Export tab. Here you can use templates to import users and user groups, or export all users from a selected user group. Choose Download Template if you want to start from a blank slate, or click the top Export button to export your current user list. It is recommended to make a backup of the original user list and make modifications on a copy. If there are errors in the uploaded data, the backup file can be used to revert users back to their previous state. The template requires a user's first name, last name, and employee ID number, along with language and active status. Once modifications have been made, save the file and return to the Import-Export tab, then click the Browse or Choose File button to locate the file. If the file is being used to update existing user information or existing user group assignments, use the appropriate checkbox before clicking Import. In both instances, the user's employee ID is the anchor point used to update information or user group assignment, so employee ID numbers cannot be updated through a user list import. If a user's employee ID is changed, a new user will be added with that information. Employee ID numbers must be updated manually through a user's profile. Once all selections have been made, click the Import button. You'll receive a message specifying the file is being processed. To view the status of the import, select the User Import History tab. To view import results, click the file name to see if any file lines failed and for what reason. User groups can be imported in a similar fashion. Choose Download Template in the User Group section if you want to start from a blank slate, or click Export to view the current user group list. The only field required to add a user group is the user group name. Once all additions have been made, save the file. Select the Browse or Choose File button to locate the file, then click Import. User group names cannot be modified through an import, so there are no checkboxes used for importing. If you need to change a user group's name, it can be done manually under the User Groups tab. To export all users from a particular user group, select the user group in the dropdown, then click Export. User groups can be added to combine users together for reporting and rule management. Examples of common user groups include departments, job classifications, and cost centers. Each user profile can have up to 5 user groups assigned. One user group can also be assigned to function as a reporting group, which will be visible in the transaction detail reports. To create a new user group, click Profile Manager, Manage Users, then choose the User Groups tab. Select Add New, enter the name of the group, and then click Save. Once the group has been created, select the Users link to the right of the user group name, then select which users you want to apply to that user group. Users can be selected individually by clicking the checkbox next to their name or by using the Select All Users checkboxes for users on the current page or all users in the system. You can also search users to apply by typing a value into the Find Users text box, then clicking Search. Search results can be filtered by selecting the Status dropdown and choosing Selected, which will only display users already assigned to the group, Not Selected, which only shows users not assigned to the group, and All, which shows both. Once all desired users have been selected, click Save at the bottom of the screen. The number next to the users will increase by the number of people you've added to the group. Multiple user groups can be created at the same time by importing a template rather than adding them one at a time. For more information, please see the Importing/Exporting Users video. Roles define what web administrators can access when they log into the vending software. To access the section where roles are located, click on Profile Manager, then click Manage Roles. Web administration is the default full access role that is applied to a customer during the setup of the vending software. Changing this role's permissions is not recommended. Instead, new roles should be added if limited access to the software is needed. Click on Add User Role, enter a user role name, then click Add. Click Set Privileges to view or modify a specific role's permissions. Here you will see privileges broken down by sections of the software. To give access to view machine details and current inventory levels under Device Manager, click the Local Device Access checkbox. To give the ability to manage an asset status in the software, click the Manage Asset Status checkbox. Manage Dispense Rule allows a user to add or modify dispense rules that determine a user's access to the machines. Manage User Role allows a user to access the Manage Roles section and create or change roles. Register User grants access to add or change users in the software. Local Asset Access allows the user to add or change assets under Product Manager. The checkboxes under Report Manager grant access to each specific report as defined in their descriptions. These reports are covered in the Report Manager videos. Once you have set all necessary privileges, click Add to update the role with the changes. New roles can now be set under profiles that have been granted web access. Dispense rules are used for defining which users can access vending machines under a specific site. To add a dispense rule, first select Profile Manager, then Manage Rules. Here you will see a tab for each rule type. To create a simple dispense rule, select Add Dispense Rule and enter a rule name. The rule name will appear in the transaction detail reports when a user vends at the machine. Once complete, click Continue. Click the Select Languages link and use the checkboxes to select all of the languages you need supported at the device, then click Save. Now enter a rule selection name in the text box for each language. These are the prompts displayed when the user is selecting a rule at the device. Once all language prompts have been added, click Continue. To add a PIN requirement after authenticating with an ID or badge, select the PIN Required checkbox. Enter a prompt in the text box, then select Continue. Please note that the PIN option is permanent, so the entire dispense rule would have to be deleted and recreated without the PIN option if you wish to remove it. This should be considered before creating a complex allocation code with extensive product restrictions. Allocation codes can be added to rules to collect additional information or restrict access to products. Please see the Allocation Codes video for more details. Allocation codes are not used when creating a simple dispense rule, so select Continue. The drop-down selector is an option that can be used on a 10K touchscreen that allows users to select a listed value under the first allocation code. Because Edge devices don't use a touchscreen, skip this option by clicking Create. Select Expand All or use the plus icons to see the different levels of the rule. An allocation code named Simple is created by default. You can change the rule name by selecting it and entering a new name in the text box. You can also add additional languages, change the prompts displayed at the device, or add a PIN entry to the rule. Remember, the pin option cannot be deleted from a rule once it has been added. After making all necessary modifications, click Save. You can now change the allocation code name by selecting it and entering a new name in the text box. You can see the parameters of the allocation code or change the prompts here. After making any modifications, click Save. Select Apply to Site, then select Apply to New Site and use the drop-down to assign the rule to the appropriate site. Enter a value in the max session quantity text box to define how many items a user can dispense in a single transaction. We recommend a max session of 1 for most customers. Setting this higher than 1 can allow users to exceed restriction limitations if the session max is set higher than the quantity allowed. Once you have set the max session quantity, click Save. Now that the rule has been applied to the site, users can be applied to the rule individually or in groups. Select Users and use the checkboxes to choose which users you want to apply to the rule, then select Save. The number next to the Users link will increase by the number of users applied to the rule. To add users by group, select Groups and use the checkboxes to choose which groups you want to apply to the rule, then click Save. Now that the users have been applied to the rule, they will be able to access the vending machine using the dispense rule. Codes can be added to the rule. Allocation codes can collect additional information from the user at the machine or can be set up to restrict certain users or groups from accessing certain products. First, select Profile Manager, then click on Manage Rules. Select Add Allocation Code next to the dispense rule that you want to modify. Enter the allocation code name, which should relate to the purpose the code is serving, as this is what will appear in the reporting. For example, if you need to collect job numbers from users when they vend, name the allocation code Job Numbers. Or if you need to restrict users from accessing certain products, name the allocation code Restrictions. Once an allocation code name has been entered, click Continue. There are 4 different ways to collect allocation codes. Accept any value means no validation is required, and any value entered on the machine's keypad will be accepted. Please note that this also means that a user can hit pound to skip this input. Accept validated entries means a user's entry will only be validated if the value entered on the machine's keypad is in the proper format according to the mask that is set. Limit users to listed options means a user's entry will only be validated if the value entered on the machine's keypad exists in a list compiled in the software. Limit users to assigned options means a user's entry will only be validated if the value entered on the machine's keypad exists in a list compiled in the software that they are assigned to. Limit users to assigned options can also be used in a silent fashion, where users are not required to enter values on the machine keypad. They are simply applied to instances within the allocation code, and the information associated with that user is collected automatically. This is the most common method used to set product restrictions. If you select the second allocation code type and choose Continue, you will need to enter a mask rule before entering a prompt. If the information being collected must be 6 to 8 characters in length, enter 6 as the min length and 8 as the max length. Any value entered on the machine's keypad that does not fall within the min and max length is considered invalid and will be rejected. Enter hashes or pound signs in the mask pattern equal to the min length, then select Continue. For more information on the mask patterns, see the help tip on the page. If you select the first and third allocation code types and choose Continue, you'll need to enter a prompt. If you select the fourth allocation code type and choose Continue, the prompt is optional. When setting product restrictions, this option is typically unchecked before selecting Continue. The third and fourth allocation code types have options to set budget management. See the Managing Budget Restrictions video for more details on budget management. Select this option if you want to set restrictions based on budget. The third and fourth allocation code types also have options to set product restrictions. For the third allocation code type, product restrictions are typically set to None, and for the fourth allocation code type, product restrictions are typically set to selected products and/or quantity limits per time period. Next, click Continue. All allocation code types can be set to obscure the user's entry, where instead of displaying the exact characters the user is entering, they are instead displayed with asterisks. This option can help conceal confidential information from onlookers. Once all the information has been entered, select Create. Select the plus icon next to the rule you added the allocation code to. Select the allocation code name and edit any of the fields as necessary. If a certain field cannot be edited, you'll need to delete the allocation code and rebuild it to change the information. If an allocation code has been added to the rule as listed or assigned options, allocation instances will need to be added to the allocation code. For example, if you create the allocation code to collect job numbers, the instances are the job numbers you need to collect. Or, if you created the allocation code to restrict users from accessing product, the instances are the different levels of access. To add allocation instances to a dispense rule, first select Profile Manager, then click Manage Rules. Select the plus icon next to the rule that contains the allocation code and choose Add Instance. Instances can be imported in bulk using a template or by importing and adding to the current allocation instance list. Select Download Template or Export, and a file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Open the file. Add an allocation instance name in column A and an allocation instance number in column B. The allocation instance number is the number the user will be required to enter on the keypad at the machine when the prompt for the allocation code appears. Both the instance name and number will be visible through reporting. Once additions have been made, save the file to your computer. Next, click the Browse or Choose File button and select the file you saved. Now click Import. A report will load showing the total number of instances, which were successful, which failed, and the reason why. Neither the instance name or number for that allocation code can be duplicated. Select Finish Import. Select the plus icon next to the allocation code to show the instances that were added. To add instances one at a time, select Add Instance, enter an instance name and number under Option 2, and select Create. To modify the allocation instance name or number, select the instance name link, edit the name or number, then click Save. You can also delete the instance by clicking the Delete button. If the selected products and/or quantity limits per time period option was selected while creating a listed or assigned options allocation code, product restrictions can now be set. First click Profile Manager, then click Manage Rules. Select Apply to Site for the rule you need to set product restrictions for, select Expand All, then select the Products link for the instance. Here you will find a list of all the products that have been assigned to the machines. Use the page numbers or arrows to navigate to the different pages. Use the Restriction Period dropdown to select the time frame to restrict the products. Enter a number in the max quantity box to specify how many products are allowed within the restriction period. Restrictions work on either a rolling basis or a defined time period. You can see the details on how each restriction period works in the graphic on the screen. Use the No Limit checkbox if you want users to be granted unlimited access to the product. Or use the Select All option to grant no limit access to all of the products on the page. It is uncommon to use the cumulative option. If this box is checked, it will limit all users in the instance to the restriction that is set. Product groups can be set up to change the way you set restrictions. When you add multiple products to the same product group, the restriction then applies to all products in that group, rather than each individual product. For example, if there are 3 different sizes of glove in the machine, those gloves can be added to a single product group to ensure users can only access one glove of that type instead of one glove of each size. If you need to set up product groups, please reach out to your local branch or the Fast Solutions technical support team for assistance. It is a best practice to set a default restriction for products and product groups in each instance. Select Products or Product Group highlighted in red, choose a restriction period from the dropdown, enter a quantity in the text box or select No Limit, then click Save. Any product that doesn't have a restriction specified will now show a gray background color and have the default restriction applied. You can always override the default product restriction by entering a value on the individual product or product group. This makes the product restriction management less intensive so that if your local branch ever adds new product to the machine, users will have access to the new product according to the default restrictions. Make sure to save restrictions per page. If you make changes on page 1 and then change to page 2, the changes you made on page 1 will not be saved. Each instance has its own products option, so a different set of restrictions can be created for each instance. Budget-based dispensing restrictions allow you to set a predetermined budget that prevents users from vending once the budget is met or exceeded. If the budget management option was selected while creating a listed or assigned options allocation code, budget management restrictions can be set. Click Profile Manager, Manage Rules, then select Apply to Site for the rule you need to set budget restrictions for. Select Expand All, then click the Budget Management link for the instance. Here you can choose No Limit or Total Budget for one, enter a dollar amount, then use the drop-down and choose per calendar day, week, or month. This is specifying the maximum dollar value that the user can dispense in the selected time period. Keep Restrict Product at Selected and use the drop-down to choose whether to restrict the user once they have met 100 or 110% of the budget set. An alert can be set up to send an email once 90, 100, or 110% of a user's budget has been met. Enter one email address per line for anyone who needs to receive the alert. Then click Save. If the site applied to the rule has 10K devices registered to it, Megastore restrictions must be set per compartment. For this reason, 10K devices are typically registered to their own site. To manage Megastore restrictions, first click Profile Manager, Manage Rules, then select Apply to Site for the rule you need to set Megastore restrictions for. Select Expand All, then select the blue Compartments link for the instance. There's a tab for cabinet compartments, which are for drawer, door, and combo units, and locker compartments for sensor locker units. In certain 10K devices, there are multiple types of product in a single compartment, making it impossible to physically restrict a user from accessing it once they've gained access to the compartment. Use the checkboxes to specify which compartments the users in that instance can have access to, then click Save. Please note that although there are product options available for each instance, these restrictions will not function properly, as they must be set by compartment. Asset rules allow you to grant and control access to assets. To add an asset rule, first select Profile Manager, Manage Rules, then select the Asset Rule tab. To create a simple asset rule, select Add Asset Rule and enter a rule name. This is the name that will appear in reporting and on the rule management screen. It is recommended to keep the check-in and check-out rule name as is to ensure they are labeled with their respective functions. Click Continue. Choose the blue Select Languages link. Use the checkboxes to select all of the languages you need supported with a prompt displayed at the device, then click Save. Next, enter a rule selection name in the text box for each language, then select Continue. If you want users to enter a PIN for authentication before they can check in or check out, select the PIN required checkbox, then click Continue. It's recommended to keep the check-in and check-out allocation codes and prompts as is here also to ensure they are labeled with their respective functions. Now select Create. Click Expand All or use the plus icons to see the different levels of the rule. You can change the asset rule name by selecting it and entering a new name in the text box. You can also add additional languages, change the prompts displayed at the device, or add a PIN entry to the rule. Please note that the PIN option cannot be deleted from a rule once it has been added. You will have to delete the entire rule and recreate it without the PIN option. This can have profound implications if you have a complex allocation code with asset restrictions built for the rule. Once you've made all necessary modifications, click Save. You can change the check-in and check-out rule name or rule selection prompts by selecting them, entering a new name or prompt in the text box, then clicking Save. The rule now has to be applied to a set of machines under a site. Select Apply Asset Rule to, then select Add New. Use the drop-down to select the appropriate site. Select the Limited option and enter a 1 in the Max Session Quantity text box. This is how many times a user can check in or out per user authentication or badge swipe. Once everything is complete, click Save. Now that the rule has been applied to the site, users can be applied to the rule individually or in groups. Select the user icon and use the checkboxes to choose which users you want applied to the rule, then click Save. The number of users will increase by the number of users applied to the rule. To add users by group, select the multi-user icon and use the checkboxes to choose which groups you want applied to the rule, then click Save. Now that the users have been applied to the rule, they will be able to access the assets for the site. If the selected products and/or quantity limits per time period option was selected while creating a listed or assigned options allocation code, asset restrictions can be set. To set asset restrictions, first select Profile Manager, Manage Rules, then select the Asset Rule tab. Select Apply Asset Rule to for the rule you want to set restrictions for. Select the three-dot ellipsis for an instance and choose Asset Restriction. Use the checkboxes in the Allowed column to grant access to each individual asset. With asset restrictions, you are simply allowing or not allowing access to an asset. Make sure to save restrictions per page. If you make changes on page 1 and then move to page 2, the restrictions you made on page 1 will not get saved. To set restrictions by asset type, select the three-dot ellipsis for an instance, then choose Asset Type Restriction. Use the checkboxes in the Allowed column to grant access to each individual asset type. Make sure to save restrictions per page. Each instance has its own asset and asset type options, so a different set of restrictions can be created for each instance. Reclaim rules allow assets to be checked out when they have a status of locked down. Normal users applied to an asset rule cannot access an asset with the status of locked down. The status of an asset can be modified by logging into the vending software. However, users can be added to a reclaim rule and access a lockdown asset immediately at the device. To create a reclaim rule, first select Profile Manager, Manage Rules, then select the Reclaim Rule tab. Select Add Reclaim Rule, enter a rule name, then click Continue. Choose the blue Select Languages link, use the checkboxes to select all of the languages you need supported with a prompt displayed at the device, then click Save. Next, enter a rule selection name in the text box for each language, then click Continue. It's recommended to keep the name of the reclaim allocation code and prompt the same as the defaults. Once completed, click Create. Select Apply Reclaim Rule to, then select Add New, choose the appropriate site from the dropdown, and click Save. Select Apply to User, use the checkboxes to specify which users to add to the rule, then click Create. You will see the name of the selected users added to the list. To remove users from the rule, click the blue Remove link. Assets you own, such as tools, electronics, and other equipment, can be stored in lockers for checking in and checking out as needed. To create an asset, click on Product Manager. Select the correct site in the dropdown, then click Add Site Asset. Enter the asset description, asset SKU, and asset ID, which are the 3 required fields. The asset description should be specific to help physically identify the asset. As an example, rather than using the word drill, we recommend 12-volt 3/8-inch drill driver, especially if another drill could be added in the future. The asset ID is a unique number used for checking in and out of a locker. This number will typically correspond to a specific locker position labeled on the physical device. However, any unique number can be used if the physical locker is labeled with this number. For more information on locker position numbering and assigning assets, please see the Managing Locker Positions video. The asset SKU is typically the same as the asset ID. Asset types can be created and assigned to assets that will share the same restrictions and control parameters. For more information about asset types, please see the Managing Asset Types video. All other fields are optional and can be used to collect additional information associated to the asset. Tracking and control parameters can also be assigned to an asset, which allow for special actions and alerts to occur based on defined criteria. For more information, please see the Managing Assets video. Once all information has been added, click Save in the bottom right corner. The asset will now be available for checking in and checking out. Assets have features for tracking and control that allow certain actions or alerts to occur when certain conditions have been met. First, click on Product Manager, then select the correct site in the drop-down to see the current list of assets for that site. Select an asset you want to manage and click Edit to the right of the asset information. Click the Show Tracking Parameters checkbox to see the first check-in and checkout date, the last check-in and checkout date, the due date the asset needs to be returned by, how many times the asset has been checked out, and the cumulative time the asset has been checked out for. The software will continuously track these parameters from the time the asset is first checked out until the asset is no longer in service. You can also set a purchase date, last calibration date, and reclaim date, which are useful for creating control parameters. Click the Show Control Parameters checkbox to set parameters for a specific asset or asset type. Loan Supervision Management allows you to send an email alert on every checkout, every check-in, when the asset has not been checked out for a certain number of days, or if the asset has been checked out longer than a certain time period. Also, you can enable personal responsibility so the user who checks out an asset must be the one to return it. Locker Type Requirement allows you to assign a recharger type to an asset, so when the asset is returned, only a locker with the corresponding recharger type will open. You can set a rest period in minutes to prevent the asset from being checked out before having adequate time to recharge. Also, you can tag the asset for accessibility purposes or tag it as heavy. Collect Return Status allows you to gather information about the state of the asset when it is returned. The default options are Ready for Reuse, Damaged, Needs Calibration, and Warranty Expired. For any of these options, you can choose to lock down the asset or send out an alert if the option is selected. These prompts can be changed to offer different return status options or deleted if less than 4 options are needed. Reclaim allows you to lock down the asset and send out an alert on the date you have set in the tracking parameters. Asset Aging allows you to lock down the asset and send out an alert when certain values have been reached in the aging of the asset, such as days since calibration, days since stocked, days since first checkout, number of times checked out, or cumulative timeout. In the box below Send Alerts To, you can add all the email addresses that need to receive the alerts. Just make sure to only enter one email per line as shown in the example. Once you've set all parameters for the asset, click Save in the bottom right corner. An Excel template can be used for both uploading new assets and updating existing assets previously added to the system. Click on Product Manager, then click the Import-Export tab. Select the correct site in the dropdown to avoid uploading assets to the wrong site. Click on Download Template to get a blank XLS template with headers that can be filled out for uploading assets. This file is specifically formatted for uploading assets, so do not change or add headers to the file. All required fields are marked with an asterisk. Asset types must be created before they can be added to this template for upload. Fill out all necessary information for each asset you would like to upload, then save the file. Now select the Browse button to navigate to the saved file. Click Import to upload the list of new assets. A report will display showing all failures and successfully uploaded assets. To export the list of existing assets, click the Export button. Please note that changing an asset ID will not update an existing asset, but will add a new asset with the asset ID instead. All other fields can be edited for updating existing assets. Once all changes have been made, save the file, then select the Browse button to navigate to the saved file. When updating existing assets, click the On Import Update Existing Asset for Matching Asset ID checkbox before clicking Import. A report will display showing all failures and successfully uploaded assets. Asset types are used to group assets together when they will need the same control parameters or restrictions as other assets. To create an asset type, first select Product Manager to navigate to Site Assets, then choose the Asset Types tab. Select the correct site in the dropdown, then select Add Asset Type. Enter the asset type name, which should be used to identify which assets are being grouped. Select the Show Control Parameters checkbox if you need to set control parameters for the asset type. Once all control parameters have been set, click Save. For more information on setting control parameters, see the Managing Site Assets video. Assets can now be assigned to the new asset type. First, click on the Assets tab, then choose an asset you want to assign by clicking Edit. Select the Asset Type dropdown, choose the appropriate type from the list, then click Save. The Asset Assignment tab can also be used to assign an asset type. Select the asset type in the dropdown and use the checkboxes to select which assets need to be assigned, then click Assign. Once an asset is assigned to an asset type, you can select the option to set control parameters unique to the asset or based on the asset type. Navigate to the Assets tab and click Edit next to an asset to select the desired option. Assets assigned to an asset type can only be restricted by that asset type and can no longer be restricted on an individual basis. For more information on setting asset restrictions, please see the Asset Rule video. Rechargers are assigned to assets that require a time period to recharge before another user can check the item out. To add a recharger, first click Product Manager, then click Site Recharger. Click Recharger Types to add a recharger type first. Recharger types can be used to group rechargers together. For example, if you have multiple Milwaukee power tools, you can create a recharger type of Milwaukee rechargers. You can also include specific manufacturer or model number information if needed. A single recharger type can also be assigned to all assets to accomplish the same goal. Add a type name into the recharger type name field, then click Save. Now click the Rechargers tab and click Add Site Recharger. Enter a recharger name, SKU, and model. Please note that these can also be as general or specific as necessary. A single recharger can be created and assigned to all locker positions if desired. For the ease of setup, we will create a generic recharger to be assigned to all lockers, then click Save. Once created, a recharger must now be assigned to each locker position in Device Manager, and the locker type requirement must be defined in an asset's control parameters before the recharger will function properly. Inventory levels at the machine can be viewed in real time for quantity on hand and min-max values. To view a device's inventory level, first select a Device Manager, view devices for the site, then click View for a specific device. Here you will see the selection number, which is the coil or locker position that stores the product, a description of the product and the SKU, the current count at the device, the capacity, min, max, and critical level, and whether the product is available to vend when the device is offline. This information allows you to get an accurate assessment of the inventory levels at any given device. For 10K devices, once you select View for the device, you will also need to select Expand All to view all of the compartments. Here you will see the compartment or locker number, the sensor position, a description of the product and the SKU, the current count at the device, and the capacity, min, max, and critical levels. A checkbox next to the compartment or locker number shows whether the product is available to vend when the device is offline. The Device Info tab allows you to view the information associated with the machine. Here you will see where the device is registered, the last known network settings of the device, the last heartbeat and transaction time, the model of the machine, and some of its configuration settings. This information is typically used by Fast Solutions technical support, but can be utilized if desired by customers as well. Once an asset has been created, it can be assigned to a locker position. First select Device Manager, view devices, then click View for a specific machine. Next, click on the Asset tab. Then, select Assign from the action column to the right of the desired selection number. This will pull up the Reserved Locker for Asset screen. Select the Asset Owner dropdown and choose your company name. Then, search for the asset by name, SKU, or asset ID, or simply select the asset from the list and select Save. You'll now see the asset assigned to that position. Now check the box labeled Is Fixed Location. This will reserve the locker specifically for this asset. If the Fixed Location box is not checked, the first available locker position will open when an asset is returned. Fixed locations are recommended along with asset IDs that include the selection number so that users can enter the locker number to access the asset if the machine falls offline. Also, asset IDs must be unique for each site. It is recommended to add an additional number to the front of each asset ID so sites with multiple machines can have assets in the same locker positions as another machine. As an example, for locker 70 in machine 2, create asset ID 270, and then locker 70 in machine 3 could use asset ID 370. You can also view locker sizes and tags, or assign rechargers to locker positions under Device Manager. Click on Device Info and scroll to the bottom of the page. Click the Locker Array link to see the size assigned to each locker position. Click the Recharger Bay link to assign rechargers by clicking a drop-down next to a locker position, then selecting a recharger. Click Save to complete the assignment. The Transaction Detail Report shows an itemized list of what products were vended along with the information collected with each transaction. To view this report, select Report Manager. The default report to run is Transaction Detail, which you will see from the drop-down menu. To run this report with the default criteria, simply select Search and the report will populate. To view the report for a specific site, choose the Select a Site drop-down and select the appropriate site name. To view the report for a specific machine, choose All Devices and select the appropriate machine name. To include additional view fields, click the Select View Fields link and use the checkboxes to select what information you want the report to include. These fields correspond to both the site's dispense rules and the product information entered into the system by the branch. The Select By options allow you to filter information according to a field you select. Select the field, enter information into the box, then select Search to only see information that includes the criteria you've entered. Select Subtotal to choose a field to subtotal the report by. Specify the activity date range by selecting a start date and an end date. This report will only show 100 days of transactions. Reports beyond 100 days are stored as transaction statements. See the transaction statement video for more information. Anytime you change information, select Search to populate the new report. To download a copy of the report, select Download CSV, Download XLS, or Download PDF to export the report in that format. This report can be automated and sent to a list of recipients on a set schedule. See the Scheduled Reports video for more details on automated reports. Transaction statements provide a historical archive of transaction detail reports showing an itemized list of what products were vended along with the information collected with each transaction. Unlike the transaction detail report, which can only pull 100 days of information, transaction statements can be pulled from the date when the devices were first installed to the end of the month directly preceding the present month. To view these reports, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and select Transaction Statements. Here you can access an archive of all the transactions for your company categorized by year and month. Select the report year from the drop-down and select Search. Now choose the month you want to pull the data for. A zip file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file. This will open a download folder. Double-click the file to open. You can view and edit the file as needed within the spreadsheet. Please note that transaction statements cannot be customized like transaction detail reports. They simply pull all available data on every transaction made in a given month. The Usage Summary Report shows the quantity of product dispensed and monetary value spent. The report can be broken down by company, site, device, and bin. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose Usage Summary. Set the date range for up to 100 days and select Get Report. The first level of this report will show the total usage by company. Select Details to show usage by site. Select Details on a specific site to show usage by device. Select Details on a specific device to show usage by bin, which is the motor or locker position where the product is located. To download a copy of the report, select Download and choose the file format and level of the report you need to view. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. This report can be automated. See the Scheduled Reports video for more details on automated reports. The Inventory Consumption Report shows the number of units dispensed and the monetary value as total spend by SKU. This report has no information associated with the motor position from which the product was vended or the user who vended it. It is all specific to the SKU. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose Inventory Consumption. To view the report for a specific site, choose the Select a Site drop-down and select the appropriate site name. To view the report for a specific machine, choose the All Devices drop-down, select the appropriate machine, and select Search. Specify the activity date range by selecting a start and end date. This report can only show up to 100 days of transactions. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. This report can be automated. See the Scheduled Reports video for more details on automated reports. The Inventory Total report shows the current quantity of products in stock per SKU and the total price of the product for an entire site or single device. To view this report, select Report Manager, use the drop-down menu and choose Inventory Total. Select a site and device using the drop-down menus, then select Get Report. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear on the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. The Product Location report allows you to find the exact location of a product. Even if the product is in multiple motor positions in the same device or in multiple devices, the report will show a breakdown of each location. To view this report, select Report Manager, use the drop-down menu, and choose Product Location. Select Search and enter part or all of the product SKU or name, and select Search. Then, choose the part you're looking for from the list and select Submit. Information will load showing the device name and motor position where the product is located along with the current quantity in stock. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. The Comparative Usage by Time report allows you to compare total spend over a selected time frame. The report can be broken down by company, site, device, or motor position. To view this report, select Report Manager and then use the drop-down menu and choose Comparative Usage by Time. The default breakdown will be company over years. To break the total spend down by quarter, month, week, or day, select the appropriate option highlighted in blue in the Jump To section or select the time frame itself. Select the company name to break the total spend down by site, the site name to break down by device, or the device name to break down by motor position. Use the Up To option to revert back to the previous breakdown. Use the Forward and Back in Time options to view previous or future dates within the time frame selected. This report is typically used in conjunction with other reports since it lacks a product description. This report cannot be automated or exported into a separate file. The Asset Aging report shows information about asset usage, such as the current asset status and the asset's tracking and control parameters. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose Asset Aging Report. Select a site from the drop-down if you're only looking for activity from a specific site. Choose Select View fields and use the checkboxes to select what information you want to pull in the report. Select the order you want the information to display in the report. Use the checkboxes in the Show line to specify which assets you want to see. Select an option in the Search By line and enter search criteria in the box if you only want to see information pertaining to that search criteria. Once you have customized the report, select Search to populate the report with that information. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. This report can be automated. See the Scheduled Reports video for more details on automated reports. The Asset Activity report shows the history of asset transactions as an itemized report, similar to transaction detail. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose Asset Activity Report. Select a site and a device from the drop-down to see activity from a specific site or device. Choose Select View fields and use the checkboxes to select what information you want to pull on the report. Select what order you want the information organized by. Use the checkboxes in the Show line to specify what activity you want to see. Select an option in the Search By line and enter search criteria in the box if you only want to see information pertaining to that search criteria. Enter a start and end date to pull information within that date range. Once you have customized the report, select Search to populate the report with that information. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. This report can be automated. See the Scheduled Reports video for more details on automated reports. The Asset Status Management Report is a record of actions taken on an asset using the Manage Asset Status tool inside the vending software. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose Asset Status Management Report. Select a site and a device from the drop-downs to look at activity from a specific site or device. Enter a start and end date to pull information within that date range, then select Search. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS or PDF to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. The User Login History report provides a record of when web administrators log into the vending software. To view this report, first select Report Manager, then use the drop-down menu and choose User Login History. Enter a start and end date to pull information within that date range, then select Get Report. Use the Search by Username or Login ID text box to filter the report for a specific web admin. To download a copy of the report, select Download XLS to export the report in that format. The file will appear at the bottom of your browser. Select the file to view and save a copy of it on your computer. Certain reports can be automated to send specific information from a report to a list of recipients on a recurring schedule. Once a report is automated, the information associated with the report, recipients, and schedule can be found under Scheduled Reports. To automate a report, first select Report Manager and choose the report you want to automate from the drop-down list. Please note that not all reports can be automated. If you don't see an Automate option on the report, it cannot be automated. Select the View fields and additional information you want to see on the automated report, then select Automate. Enter a job schedule name and choose a file format and language. Select Web Admins from the drop-down, then select Add to include their email on the list of recipients, or add the email addresses manually, one per line. Set the frequency to hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly, then select the day to run, start time, and your time zone. It is recommended to run a monthly report from the beginning of the month at midnight, as not every month has 31 days. If you try to schedule the report without all of the required fields completed, you'll receive an error message stating what information still needs to be entered. Once you've entered all required information, select Schedule Report and you'll receive a confirmation message. Once a report has been automated, you can view details about the report. Select Scheduled Reports from the drop-down menu. Then choose the Select a Job drop-down and select the type of report. You will see some basic information about the report. To cancel the automated report, select Deactivate. To edit details about the report, select Edit. Only certain details about an automated report can be modified. In some cases, you will need to deactivate the current report and recreate the automated report with the correct information. The most common modification to make to a current automated report is to add additional email recipients. Once the modifications have been made, select Edit Schedule to save the changes you've made.